All right. Well, I just wanted to show I'm working on putting, these are the Gen 2 volt batteries that I showed before, did the tear down on, etc. I'm actually going to be putting these into the EV30. A couple of advantages, they're significantly lighter. Can't remember if I published the video, I should post it or not, but those are the batteries that were in the EV30. Fortunately, I was testing out a new BMS system for a company, and let's just say it did not work as hoped. So one of the modules got drained to 0, and then the other ones got overcharged to 4.8 volts. Yeah, I'll publish, if I hadn't put the video for that, I'll put it on, kind of give the reasoning behind what happened there. But anyway, have these Gen 2 volt cells laying around, and it'll be a good excuse to use those. So should be a lighter pack. I'm curious to see how the power compares between the Gen 1 and the Gen 2. Won't go into super detail. I put a lot of detailed videos on how to reconfigure and reuse the Gen 2 volt cells. All the ideas and techniques that I showed in those videos apply from the Gen 1 to the Gen 2. A couple things we're doing differently is the way that these modules are broken up, as I showed in the previous video. Essentially, I've got approximately 75 volts. So this is a 18, and then this is a 12 S system. Each one's in 2P. So reconfigure this. So I'm going to use what I call these as longs and mediums. Before I had the shorts and the 48s. The 48s were longs. So well, very similar configuration here. That I'll have two longer banks and then one shorter. So the two longer ones will be one long and a medium put together, and then the two two mediums that are put together. That will fit actually quite nicely. It's a little bit smaller, gives me a little bit more room, packaging wise. I will be down that large module of cells, but this gets the voltage to about 350 charged. I will just dial back my state of charge such that I'm not fully charging, which is what I do anyway, and gives me margin because my Soliton controller has a 345 volt max. So I'll probably charge to 343, somewhere around there, give a little headroom, and then when the surface charge bleeds out, I'll probably be at about 340. But and I will be running an Orion BMS system for it. So I got an 84 cell. From right, this is 82, and get all that installed, and then take it out, start flogging it, and record some data and see what the power capabilities of these are. It should actually be a significant bump up in energy, but now I'm thinking about it, I'm leaving less of the pack behind. So I'll actually have to run the numbers and see what it looks like from there. But yeah, so as like I said, I won't show the real details on it, but I'm keeping them. Actually, going to be reusing the stock mounting as opposed to doing the racks. Fortunately, it's almost the same cells, but not quite. So all the plates I designed, etc. I could redesign those and use them, but in the end, I'm actually just going to try reusing the mounting that's there. It has O-rings, so you need to compress it when you put it together. One thing to note here is that you do have to do a reconfigure of plates. So the back module has this weird center coolant system. So it taps the coolants through in the center of the pack. I don't really want to use that. So instead, I swapped out the block-off plate. One module is normally assembled with block-off plates on either side, that in the middle. So now I've got a coolant port and a block-off plate, and then I'll have a block-off plate and a coolant port, and then the 48 one. So the coolant will come in, cross over, and come out. Still would like to do a reverse return flow system, but honestly, for cooling these, that's way overkill from what I need. But anyway, same thing as before. I use this. This is bolt grade all thread. This is not the stuff you get at the hardware store. The stuff at the hardware store is like grade 2. It's probably like 40 or 50 KSI. I believe this is like 110, 130 KSI. Essentially the same equivalent as a grade 8 bolt. Don't skimp on that. All thread is weaker anyway, just because you remove the net section, and the stuff that you get from the hardware store is not really. I don't know. I wouldn't trust that for the mounting as much, though. In this application, it was different because here all the weight from this going through those bolts Actually, probably not as nearly as big a deal because I will be using the factory mounting pulling down this. So this is just a simple tension member. Plates come on just like this before, and just like before, this is all metric hardware. So if in the cases where I reuse the stock bolts, you can see I just use the plates as is. Here I'm using these 1/4" Ultra-Red because that's what I can get, and it's also what I have laying around. So I just simply remove this nut. In the past I've popped them off, but I can also drill them out and then put it together, and then I'll have my 2 modules. So, and then the next video I'll show how I'm taking the original plate there and then cutting it up, and we'll go back in the BMW.